It is. Great.
Okay, friend. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. That was to the podcast people, but like hi to you as well.
Hi to you too. Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Okay. People who listen to my podcast, fabulous, wonderful friends who do it, and my mom occasionally. You are in for a hella treat because Allison is not only like dope as fuck, she's funny. And we love funny because I don't know what people do with people who aren't funny, but I'm like, you are cardboard and I can't do it. So I try not to interview people who have no sense of humor because I really don't know how they exist in the world. So that's a whole other tangent. But Allison is a coach. She's a fitness coach. She's my fitness coach. She ruins me 4 days a week, and we love it. We love it. Like today, my butt is sore. Your girl's butt is sore. It's fine.
That, though.
We build the peach. Mm-hmm. Oh, now I got lost on a tangent. So Allison is going to talk to us about, I don't know. It's always a surprise what we get into. We'll probably talk about fitness and the basics. I love your basics campaign.
I love that.
Talking about Legos.
Campaign.
It is a campaign.
It really is.
Love it. So, hi. Welcome. Tell us about you. Ooh, tell us something embarrassing about you, and tell us how you got into fitness and coaching.
Oh man. See, wasn't prepared for this. Could have had like a list of embarrassing moments here.
We just swim. Please don't fire me as a client after this.
I feel like I'm gonna get stuck on this embarrassing thing for entirely too long. Yeah, I've nothing is. God, that's a great introduction.
There's something weird about you. I'll tell you something weird about me to take the pressure off. When I'm bored, I name businesses in my head. I don't know what other people do in their brain downtime, but do you want to know what I would name a pawn shop?
What's up?
Pawn Father. Because we make you an offer you can't refuse, and we have 2 horse head statues right next to the front doors. Come on.
That's great. That's great.
I have had that for a decade. And one of these days I'm going to open a damn pawn shop just so I can use it.
Call it Pawn Father. I would visit that. That sounds like it needs a reality
It can be
show.
a whole attraction.
I would really be okay with that.
I can buy Marlon Brando's skeleton.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably in the ground. It's probably illegal.
Yeah, maybe, but like it's only illegal if you get caught, right?
No, I think it's actually illegal. I think it's just always illegal. I just don't have a problem until I get caught.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
All right. So something I do, I don't know if it's embarrassing, but like
weird is fine.
You know how when people have moments and they have to like write in their journal and like they write a letter to someone.
Sure.
And then it's like, don't actually send it, just like write it, rip it up and do that. Well, like I actually have conversations out loud with these people, but like they're not in the room, right? Like they're not. And I do that a lot.
That's
like
so funny.
It's kind of like intense how frequently I do it. Like I'm just trying to like have a conversation, like I'm trying to work out this thing, but instead of like writing it down, like I just say these things. Like I like in my head, like they're responding to me, and I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna like get somebody's gonna knock on my door, like, are you okay, honey? Are you doing well?
Yeah, are you good?
You heard that you're talking to the voices in your head.
That's so funny. I'll tell you, David does that. I've never met someone. My cat just knocked a crayon off the table. You're so rude. Rude. David talks to himself about what he does that, and it is the weirdest shit I've ever heard. He'll be in the bathroom talking to himself the whole time, and I'm just like,
I do that. I used to work in an office with someone, and I would talk to it was just me and her in this room, and I would talk to myself while I'm working, and she would get so irritated because she would not even like irritated because I was talking out loud, but like irritated because she didn't know if I was talking to her or not. And I almost never was. Like never was.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I like to narrate my life as I go about it. So I'll be like, feed the cat, cat, which is probably weird as fuck. But anyway, I take care of people's mental health.
Yeah, I feel like the worst of us do that.
There's a little joke. People trust me with their mental health, and I'm like, feed the cat.
Feed the cat.
So stupid.
It's actually a musical I'm in.
Starring me. I'm basically Lin-Manuel Miranda, where I was like,
basically.
I should write a musical. Who's going to star in it? This one.
I'm going to sing all the songs. Thank you. Thank you very much.
It actually revolves around me as the main character.
Naturally.
So this is so fun already. Everyone, you're welcome. You're welcome for this. We're not going to do anything useful today. Fuck it.
No.
We're talking about Bonfather. Which is such a good name. Oh, I would also name the sushi place Chopsticks.
I feel like that exists.
Well, I'll burn theirs down.
Naturally, because again, it's only illegal if you get caught.
Right. Cannot use this podcast as evidence.
No. Burn it all down.
Burn the podcast. It's fine. How did you get into fitness? You have
you were
an athlete for a while.
What a story. Yeah, it's a bit of a story. You want like the short version or like the long depressing version?
I want the long version. So does everyone else.
So yes, I had been in like athletic sports all throughout my childhood. I was a left-handed shortstop up till I was like 13, and I was playing with boys, like baseball. I was playing with teenage boys. And then it got to the point where like the boys didn't want a girl in their league. So I went to cheerleading.
Stupid patriarchy.
Like, right. I went to cheerleading and I was like, my dad was just like, what the hell? And I was like, bro, here we are.
It was a surprise to me too.
Yeah. Got into competitive cheerleading, obviously not like the football
which is hella
side.
People don't even know.
Yeah. It's terrifying, honestly. Like it's terrifying.
Yeah. Body's flying at you.
Tried out for my college team and did not make it, which ironically was probably the best thing that ever happened to me. Because what do you do after competitive college cheerleading? Like, what do you do?
Cry
after that.
Cry and reminisce about the good old days. I don't know.
So then my dad, it was my freshman year of college, my dad was like, why don't you try out for the softball team? And I was like, bro, I haven't picked up a baseball in 10 years, like, or like a softball for that matter ever.
Or ever.
Like, I mean, I played a little bit of softball, but like baseball was my thing.
Yeah.
Was a walk-on to a D2 national championship.
What?
Team. Yeah. Like, I don't
stupid impressive.
Like, but the thing was like, I mean, I'm in the outfield, like asking, because I forget, like if I'm not using the knowledge, I forget the knowledge. So like, I'm not trying to do anything. So I'm in the outfield, like asking these girls like, all right, so where am I supposed to, like, bases or, you know, somebody's on second.
I'm sure they loved
where
that.
Am I throwing this?
They were like, we had to try out. We got scouted.
And I'm like, my shoulder's kind of hurting, like chucking this ball to second base from center. So I'm on this team. He's trying to teach me how to be like a slap bunter, which was the worst. It was awful because I was fast. So like he just wanted my ass to get on first base. Like that was the only reason I made the team. Yeah. That's fine. Like I'm here living my best life.
Play to your strengths.
Right. And then it was like the weekend right before our very first scrimmage, which I didn't think I was going to get to play anyway, right? It was a scrimmage game. Like, there was no way in fucking hell that man was going to put me out on the field, you know? But my dad was, like, so excited.
Aww.
So excited. Because, like, he had a kid in collegiate sports. Like, he was so excited.
Like, we made it.
So the weekend before that game, he passed away unexpectedly. So like, right, done. This is no longer a fun story.
The story was so cute. Just rug out from under us.
I'm good at that.
Surprise.
So he passed away,
Oh.
and essentially, like the the collectedness of what was my childhood, this his death was like the straw that just
Hmm.
broke the camel's
Yeah.
back, like everything. I went into like a nuclear meltdown
Hmm.
with myself. I became suicidal. I did not give a fuck about anything. Um, and I had become really close to like my photography professor. That man probably saved my life. Like,
Hmm.
he noticed things like spot on. He literally was like, you can medically withdraw from the semester so that your failing grades don't affect your
Yeah.
GPA. Like,
Smart. Nice.
he literally was like walking me through this whole thing.
So sweet.
Um, so I end up on like, I'm in therapy and I end up on all these thank God my college had a free counseling center, or like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how anything would have happened with me there. But um, I ended up on all of these medications.
Hmm.
And what bothered me the most was like the list of side effects on the medication were the exact same as my symptoms.
Yeah. Oh, this medication
So
may
it's
make you
like,
feel suicidal and it's for feeling suicidal. Yeah.
right.
Yep.
And they're like,
That's
we want to
normal.
make sure that you're like, we want to see that you're doing better. And it's like, here's the paperwork that I just downloaded from the internet because
Right.
that's free. And it, like, how am I supposed to get better when the medication
Right.
you're giving me makes me feel fatigued, no
Right.
appetite, like lack of
And
purpose in
disconnection
life,
from your
like
body. Yep.
this whole thing?
Is it shuts it down?
Nobody could give me an answer. Like,
Hmm.
no one can give me an answer. And I need to like preface this that like I'm not like anti-medication. Like, I'm
No, it
not.
has its
Like,
place.
right. But for me, it was just like, this makes no sense that like the things you have me on are exacerbating.
Masturbating.
They're masturbating.
Exacerbating, I think is how you say it. We're really
The
smart.
things were really smart.
They're making it worse.
People think I spell things like incorrectly on Instagram on purpose. It's like, no, it's just on brand at this
No, I
point.
just can't spell.
Can't talk, can't spell.
My brain is busy.
It's done. I remember like because my cousin had just transferred to the school as well, and he was playing baseball. So my grandmother was down there, and I was just so like zonked, like
Yeah.
out of my mind on
Yeah.
medications. Like, I remember this woman carrying me around the baseball field, and I'm like taking a nap on like this picnic table. Like,
Wow.
it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon,
Wow.
and it's just like after she left, I was just like,
Not it.
this is not okay.
Yeah.
Um, so I went to Google and I searched, how do I feel better naturally? Like something like that. And endorphins popped up. And I was like, oh
Be a good
fuck, well,
podcast episode title.
right? Next search is like, what are endorphins? And how do
Right.
I get endorphins? Like, I had no idea. I was an art major. Like, I have a
Going to do
degree in
podcast.
fine arts. Yeah. So I'm like, all right. So then like the first two things that pop up are like working out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, like I'll give this a try. And I go in to like the rec center and I'm like on the Stairmaster. Punch me in the face,
You
please.
should definitely choose a Stairmaster to feel better.
um so
Stairmaster's it.
right, this is the guy, this is it. So I come home for winter break and my uncle owns a t-shirt shop. And he goes, hey, we just did t-shirts for like this gym in the area. Like, you should try it out. Well, it was a CrossFit gym. And
Cool.
then, like, after that, I went in, and normally in a CrossFit gym, you don't get a lot of already athletic women, right?
Sure.
So I walked in, and I was like this white elephant, white rhino. And like, because I was just doing strict pull-ups. Like, I was like, you
Yeah.
tell me to do something and I can just mimic what you're telling me to do.
And you
Should
have
I
the
have been
strength
doing?
too.
Well, not then. Like, I mean, I've been naturally strong, but not in the way that you need to be for
Yeah.
fitness. So I was in there doing things that I probably just shouldn't have been doing, right? But like, you can do it, you got it, you could do the skills. And so I graduated from college and I was like on this whole other, I was in my last year. So like there was no way. Like I had financial aid. Like I was not able to take out a federal, like, or not a federal, but like a private loan to like
Yeah.
start my degree over again.
Yeah.
So I graduated and was like, I want to do fitness. Like there's got to be a way for me to just coach people through this
Yeah.
thing that has finally got me out of a funk, because it turned into like, instead of me going, what's my purpose? It was like, I got to go to bed so that I can
Yeah.
wake up and train tomorrow.
Find a
I
purpose.
got to, I got to eat so that I have energy to train tomorrow. Like I got to drink water so that I can recover and train
Right.
tomorrow. Like that was like my tunnel vision.
Mm.
So after I graduated, I ended up like bopping around, getting my CrossFit membership, and then I got into introduced to like individual design through the OPEC CCP, and I did all my education through OPEC. I started that in 20. It's like when they sold the modules individually. I don't know if they still do that, but like I was like, I can afford assessment, like I'm buying assessment. And their
Yeah.
assessment was like 600 movements long. So I'm over here basically like teaching myself anatomy, physiology, like
Yeah.
how to like how to assess someone. And being in college, you learn that like there's a lot of free information out there that I don't have to pay for. Like I have this, $30,000 degree that I'm doing nothing with. So
Mm.
like the idea of pouring another $30,000, $50,000 into
Yeah.
another degree makes no sense to me when
Right.
I can learn this stuff,
Right.
like basically pulling the chunks out that I need.
Yeah.
Um, so then I got immersed in individual design, and that was where it was like I saw the effect of how traumatic and how basically people who are unwell find themselves in high intensity fitness. And it's because then my physical pain matches my emotional pain. And I don't have like, then it makes sense in my head. Like I'm
That's
hurting physically. So like this emotional pain makes sense.
explain. That's interesting.
So like when you don't know how to cope with something,
Yeah.
right? It's easier, like emotional abuse versus physical abuse.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that like high intensity is physical abuse, but what I'm getting at is like you can
Maybe.
see the damage, you can see it, you can feel it, it's
Mm.
tangible when it's physical.
Yeah.
You don't understand it when it's emotional. Like why can't I just get over this? Like
Uh,
I'm not hurting. Why can't I just get over this?
yeah.
So a lot of people who are like, I feel awful about myself and I feel
Mm.
down. It's like you go get high intensity and it's like, okay, well, now the physical pain hurts, but
I understand.
also I'm getting this endorphins and adrenaline rush. And it essentially becomes like an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't feel good about myself when I go in here and I kill myself and I just put it all out there on the floor and
Yeah.
I'm dying.
And it's a cycle of self-punishment that we think is progress. Ooh, that's actually, I've never thought about that. But,
Yeah.
and I think something that I run into a lot, I don't know if you run into it as a coach, you may not, but you may, who knows? Is people are so disconnected from their bodies that often physical pain is one way to access the body. Because if you go through something traumatic and you don't know how to cope, you just shut down because thank you,
Yep.
Kitty, because your body is trying to protect you. Like your body's doing the best it can. He would join the interview right now.
Yeah, right now.
Uh, so one of the only ways you can access your body is through physical pain, because sitting in your emotions, you don't know how, and it's uncomfortable and it's hard. And so they access it through physical pain, which is why a lot of people will self-harm. Like if you're so overwhelmed, if you're so disconnected, well, what's going to bring you back into your body?
Yep.
Literally harming yourself.
Yep. And I do see that a lot as a coach. Like my job is literally to look for patterns. Can you please stop?
We love
There's
him.
probably a squirrel in the front yard.
That's her dog, by the way, named Luke, who is,
Luke.
I really just follow you for Luke.
I mean, honestly,
So
people come
cute.
for the fitness, but they stay for Luke. Like, I
Second
get it.
best dog on the internet. Only because my dog is
um,
first. But they can
oh,
all be first. All dogs are number one.
you might have to fight on that one though.
You'll kill me.
Oh,
I'm not fighting you. Fuck
I literally
that.
have no idea how to
I'm
fight
running
at
away
all.
and I'm not even fast. So I'll just die twice.
Oh man. No, but like I see this a lot. I actually see it a lot with people. And they don't realize that like, like I have this consistent pain in my shoulder. It's like, all right, well, like, why? Well, I think I tore my labrum. And it's like, all right, well, have you gotten an MRI? Like, has anything happened? It's like,
Oh,
no, like sometimes it flares up, sometimes it doesn't. It's
I
like,
don't have
okay,
time.
well, whatever, whatever the reason is, right? So
Right.
then it's like weeks and weeks and weeks go by and they're fine. And then
Mm.
all of a sudden, some high stress situation happens in their life again, and then their shoulder starts hurting. And it's like, and it repeats itself
Mm-hmm.
and it repeats itself. And it's like, every once in a while I'll point it out and it's like, oh, like I never realized that when my life is super stressed out, like I get
Yeah.
this pain in my shoulder.
Interesting.
And it's not to like minimize that people do actually have injuries and might have
Yeah,
a
right.
scap issue or
Of
like
course.
structural imbalance, whatever. Um, but it's funny how it's almost like a memory of your body going,
Mm.
hey, it's like a low battery light, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you're super stressed out, and like I'm trying to warn you right now before you really fuck your shit up. Like,
Yeah.
you got to tone it down. Like, you got to figure
Mm.
out something else.
Bodies
A
are so
lot. It's ridiculous because it's like, yeah, actually, like you're right. Like, I'm
you should
having a
listen to
really
that.
hard time at yeah, like I'm having a really hard time at work. So like,
Yeah.
I feel like I should just be able to push through everything and like be
Mhm.
fine. And it's like we're taught that, but like, can you really do that? Like, can you really
For
just
a
like
while.
move past? Yeah, and then shit gets fucked.
Right. And
like,
at what
like,
cost? And I
right.
think you may, and that's an interesting distinction that you make because I just had another interview right before you, Marina, who is wonderful. But she was saying like a lot of, and I hate this term, high achievers, which I think is a bullshit term, but a lot of people who fit the capitalistic definition of success.
Hmm.
Those are the type of people that hire coaches. And so they're typically what we learn is that if we grind enough, if we work hard enough, if we push through long enough, we can do it because it's worked in other aspects. So we're like, well, duh, I'm going to apply it to everything because that's what our little gremlin brain does. We're like, it works one time, we're doing it everywhere.
Gremlin. Yeah.
Gremlin brain, it's so real. But so if we
Yeah.
become pushers, we think we can push through that, but it comes with a cost. And what I see a lot is people will work themselves into what they think is depression, but it's their body shutting down. So like, I couldn't get out of bed for 3 days. And I'm like, it's because you've been anxious and vomiting for 3
Right.
months. So your body's like, we're going to die.
We're done.
I'm going to
We're done
force
now.
you to rest, bitch.
Yep.
So do it.
Yep.
And they're like, I'm depressed. And I'm like, well, I would be depressed too.
Yeah.
If I were always anxious, like your body
Yeah.
shuts you down, and people who are disconnected don't know how to listen. It's not their fault. People don't know. They survive the best they can. And often we survive by shutting down. So we got into that, but you no longer do CrossFit. Why not?
No.
No.
No. A few different reasons, right? Like, and I always have to like preface some things. Like,
Yeah,
I
don't
am
come for
all
us, CrossFit
for,
people.
please don't. I am all for nothing over something, right? Like, CrossFit was very much my entry point into where I am now. Without an introduction to a barbell, I could have become a cardio bunny, like, because I didn't know any better.
Fair, right?
I think what CrossFit does really right is introduce people to strength. The concept
Yeah,
of
they do.
strength and performance versus what is my body looking like right now.
Fair.
And I think that that's very hard to do in the fitness world because
Yeah.
85% of us understand bodybuilding. We understand that fitness equals aesthetics.
And
Done.
honestly, that's where a lot of coaches sit. They sit and do you want to
It
lose?
is.
Do you want your waist to look like mine? Do 10 crunches a day. And it's like, what the fuck? You make money selling that
Yeah,
snake
no.
oil?
It's yeah, it's terrifying because a lot of people know how to use buzzwords
They
to
manipulate.
get people.
That's
Yeah.
what marketing is.
Yeah. And the unfortunate part is like, unless you're educated, you don't know the difference, right? Like, yes, I want to lose weight, but like, or like when you have someone competent enough to know that when somebody says, I want to tone, it just means they want to build muscle, right? Like, if you're saying I want to tone, there's a good chance you don't actually know what goes on behind that.
Right.
Right. So, me as a coach, I might market like, here's a program to get you toned.
Right.
But it's like, no, I'd rather just explain to you that toning means adding more muscle mass, which means like, yeah, your weight might go up and also like your body comp's going to change. And it's not going to be a matter of you losing weight on doing cardio 6 days a week. Like that's not how you can't tone what's not there.
Right. Good distinction.
So it's like it's tapping into that emotional part of, which is again what CrossFit does, right? Like I need people to be there so I can rely on them for motivation and to push me and to feel good and this and this and this. And then what happens is you realize that when you're on a program essentially built for no one,
because it's built for everyone.
Right. So technically it's built for no one.
Right.
Right. And I think a lot of the times too is like a lot of people don't talk about the ideal client coming into their gym. Right. So in the case of CrossFit, for example, they talk about general health and the GPP, which is like general population. Like I want to look good, feel good, and be strong and like not be injured.
Yeah.
Right. Well, if that's a case, then it's like maybe let's focus on slowing shit down and not doing Olympic lifting for time. You know, like if you're going to say this is for Gen Pop, then like let's actually program some stuff for Gen Pop.
Right.
And I think that disconnect is where it starts to break down, right? Because I can walk in here and I'm assuming that these coaches can do the things I need them. I'm expecting these coaches to know all.
To teach. Yeah.
Right. To teach, to help me to get better. And the truth is that the CrossFit business model is not meant for a CrossFit coach to thrive.
Oh.
It's just not meant to be that way. Like, can you imagine coaching the exact same thing 40 hours a week for $15 an hour? It's just, that's not how you can make a living.
Yeah.
It's just not, like, it's not, you know? Yeah. And then you're expected to go in there and also do the same high intensity workout as the rest of the group. And then you're like, why the hell am I burnt out?
Right.
Like, so I stopped doing CrossFit. I went into CrossFit. I realized I was good at CrossFit. I tried to be an athlete in CrossFit and I fucked up my shoulder so badly that basically on the rebuild, I was just like, why the fuck am I doing this? Like,
did you not, is that because, like mechanics? What do you think the issue was? Like poor coaching, poor adaptability, not like adaptability, like the plan wasn't individualized, like you weren't, what was the issue? Or is that just really quite common?
No. So when I decided I was going to start doing competitive CrossFit, I knew that a class model was not how I was going to get better. So I hired a one-on-one coach, which is where I started working with Marcus Philly. He was my one-on coach for years. And that was like, I'm pretty sure it was before functional bodybuilding even had an Instagram account. I'm out here doing Philly presses and stuff like.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that it was the program or the training itself. It was the fact that I was living in somebody else's house. I was sleeping on a mattress trying to figure out how I was going to pay my bills and be an athlete. And my body couldn't recover. I was stressed the fuck out constantly. Yeah. I was working 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., training twice a day.
Yeah, wow.
Trying to eat all the food, trying to get enough sleep. And like, I just couldn't recover. Like, my body was not as resilient as it needed to be to perform in the sport. And like, that's just the truth. Like, I carry trauma. Like, I carry it. And like, I would try to work through it. But my sense of getting overwhelmed is like instantly. Yeah. There's no like, okay, like, I can feel this turning. It's like, nah, like it's on and like, you just have to wait till the switch turns off. So that like, after my shoulder surgery, kind of like on the build back up, I was just like, like it was a very hard thing to wrap my head around as far as like losing my identity as an
Mm,
athlete. Like I was training twice a day and like this was what I wanted to do. And now all of a sudden I didn't have a goal.
yeah.
And it really wasn't until what was that, 2016, I think. It really wasn't until I want to say like when COVID hit and like I was working out in the park where I really just accepted the fact that like
Wow.
I'm not an athlete anymore. Was that like that's 4 years?
Yeah.
Like
Three
that's
maybe.
I had tried. Yeah, I worked at when I was working at OPEX HQ. I thought maybe being over there, I could just kind of like, all right, like let me get back in this. Like
Yeah.
let me like I'm at the mothership. Like I'm gonna try to do my full-time job and train. And it
Yeah.
was just like, again, back to like that instant, like I was just not resilient enough to
Yeah.
take on the volume and the intensity, recover from it, and have a full-time job.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. And that was just the truth. Mentally, I was not tough enough to handle everything that needed to be
Oh, we'll put
taken
that in
care of.
quotes. That's not true, but
That
some
and
people just
I
don't have
put
the
it in
room.
quote,
Yeah.
right? And that's what I mean. Like it, and that was a lot of it. Like a lot of people don't actually understand what it takes to be an athlete in a sport where it's like mentally, physically, like if you're not in it, like it's not gonna work.
Yeah. I
It's
think
just
a lot
not.
of people don't understand what it's like to give their all to anything
Also true.
at
They
all.
think they do. They think they do.
Yeah. Which is why
But
I
like,
think you'll see a lot of athletes will do well later in business and in careers, like because they get it, the sacrifice, the time, the discipline, the showing up, the all of it. But people
yeah,
who weren't athletes, not to say like athletes are inherently better, but like the training that goes into being an elite athlete, if
it's a
you've
lot.
never given your all to something and watched it get set on fire some days because you're all wasn't good enough, like that builds so much resilience that really normal people do not have because they've just never done it.
And yeah.
They've
But I
never done
think the thing too is like, although I never made it to even, I never even like skimmed the surface of where I wanted to make it. Like I
it. Yeah.
just wanted to be like consistently showing up at regionals when that was a thing.
Yeah.
My best finish in the open was 116th, and then 2 months later I got a shoulder surgery. So it's like although I never made it to be able to understand that next level of sacrifice,
Yeah.
like I understood that like I didn't have friends. I didn't have a social life. Like I
Yeah.
would go home, I would eat, I would sleep, and I would rinse and repeat the next day.
Yeah.
And that's like it's kind of terrifying like how much I did give up and
Mm-hmm.
how little I was giving up compared to like how other people have to give up things.
Yeah.
It's
People who
like
are at a different level. Yeah.
yeah, and I understood it from the perspective of like a starving artist. I
Mm-hmm.
was a art art major, right? Like
Yeah.
you don't spend money on things. You buy $50 tubes of oil paint.
Right.
Like you don't get nice things.
Yeah.
You get
You
supplies,
get art
but
supplies.
you right, like and that's it. So like you understand that like if I want to be good at this thing, there's a lot of shit you have to give up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my entire paycheck was going to my coach, which was why I was sleeping on the floor in somebody else's house. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't have any money
Wow.
to live on my own. Like, this is what I gave up to be an athlete.
Yeah.
And it still wasn't enough. Like,
Yeah. And
what?
that's an ego blow.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
a
like, and the thing was, I never beat myself up
mm,
for not feeling like I wasn't sacrificing enough.
mm,
Right? Like I always like I knew that I was doing everything I possibly could in the situation I was in.
yeah.
And like just now like thinking about it, like I was training twice a day, 6 days a week.
That's
And
wild.
I was eating like 3,500 calories a day. I was large, I was in pain. And I mean large, I mean like I was puffy. Like there
Yeah.
was so much
You're
inflammation in my body.
swollen.
I was
Yeah.
constantly in pain. And I was just living like that. Like it was normal.
Yeah.
Like
Well, it was your
what?
normal.
what? And now I'm like, dude, if I can hit the gym 3 or 4 days a week now, like that's
Like
great.
so happy.
Living my best life. Living my best life.
So we got into coaching, and how has that informed? Because your messaging is so consistent, and it's one of the reasons that I chose to work with you. One, Luke,
Obviously.
Obviously. I was like, I even told David when I started following, I was like, David, she's a super badass, and she has a dog she's obsessed with. We're basically the same person. I was like, I'm gonna hire this bitch. I don't care how much she costs. And he was like, she sounds great. And I was like, she fucking is. Here we are living our best life.
Here we are.
No, literally, I was like, she's obsessed with her dog. This is my child. You think I'm playing? I'm not. He has a frisbee that he loves. Like, I'm in the Luke fan club. 100%. Where was I going with that? Messaging. Oh, your messaging is so consistent. And I was like, listen, she doesn't give a shit about like the traditional, maybe that's a word. The traditional overhyped fitness rhetoric that is restriction, scarcity. We only do the donkey kicks to get our butt to look good. Never mind that like your legs carry you around and you want them to be strong. Like, forget about that. Fuck that noise. But it was really hard too, because as someone who's been an athlete, as someone who like is thick, is muscular, I have always had to buy extended calf boots for my entire life. I actually have to buy boots, go to a cobbler and get the calf extended. Like, not
some
a
people
joke.
wish they had that problem. You know that, right?
Come see. And he's like, stop buying these boots. And I'm like, no, I pay you to extend them and we're happy. But as someone who's never been small, it could happen, but it would take an astronomical amount of work that I'm not willing to do, and an astronomical amount of restriction that I'm not willing to do to see someone. And I think you and Annie Miller do this really, really well. So people go find Annie Miller on Facebook.
Go Instagram find her too. Now.
She's awesome. Also, Allison, she's fucking dope.
We love Annie.
We love. But something you guys do really well is like to go from an abundance mindset. You can lift more because you're worth taking care of your body. You can lift heavier because you're going to be strong as fuck and you're going to be harder to kill. Like, you're going to lift more because you push yourself, not necessarily to be smaller, to take up less space, to be more aesthetically pleasing. Like, it's not the goal. And that kind of messaging is honestly so refreshing. So refreshing. And I imagine that like with the goal to be big and strong and capable and resilient, like, and to not kill yourself, has informed where you stand now. So like before we pressed record, we were like, let's talk about the basics. So like you do these things that are so foundational that a lot of people miss. They'll be like, oh, I'll tell you what to eat on a menu if you go out. And it's like, I want to eat whatever I want. Within reason. I want to smash 10 tacos on Taco Tuesday and then go out and lift a shit ton of weight because your girl's eating tacos.
Yeah.
So but I think love if you talked about that.
Well, you said it best, right? You understand that you're not willing to do the things it takes to get there. No. And that is the disconnect people have, right? Like if I wanted to get down to 6% body fat and lose my period and hate myself, I could. I don't want to fucking do it. Like, because I do want to go out on Taco Tuesday and demolish 10 tacos and then like lift heavy weight. Like,
or take the next day off.
Right. It's like, I believe, like, I came from a system where this higher order thinking, it wasn't restrictive. That's not how they thought about it. But in me and in my emotional constant state and like not always just like, you know, humming at the same tune every single day, like I needed this like flow to happen. And I kept trying to fit myself in this like this box.
We're such control freaks.
And I was just like, I can't put myself in this box where like what you call higher order is what I look at as restriction. Like I don't want to feel bad for wanting to go get gluten heavy tacos from meat I don't know where it came from. Like, you know, like sometimes sometimes I just don't give a fuck. Like I just want to go to the thing. Like
I
it's
don't know where the meat came
2021.
from.
Like I mean, it's true. Like I don't know who the fuck is me. Probably killed a cat and like mixed it up together in the back. Like I don't fucking know. Like,
Still good.
but like and I think a lot of that like it comes from my background of number one being a performance based athlete.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
luckily never like I do remember growing up and like wanting to be a Victoria's Secret model. Like you remember like the low rise jeans and you got Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears
Thank
and
God
it's
those
like
went away.
oh god, thank God.
That was,
Like and it's like how do I do that with my
you can
body?
bury me in high waist jeans. I don't give a
Right?
fuck.
Oh, I'm rocking them right now and I'm sitting down. Like how do I do this with my body?
Right.
And for a while like I leaned into it, but I never like I just like that realistic part of my brain was like, this is just not going to happen for you. And like, that's okay. Like,
Yeah.
I'm
And
not rolling over at night about it.
I think for a lot of people, they realize it's not going to happen and they beat themselves up,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially women.
Oh, for sure. For sure. Right. Like we're taught that fairy tale ending. Like you got to do this to get the man and then you're going to be
Mm.
happily ever after. And
Not even just
it's
to
like
get the man, just to be worthy. You have to be pretty.
worthy. Or, sorry, man or woman,
Yeah.
man or
Or
woman,
non-binary,
plant
whatever.
or whatever.
All
Um,
inclusive fairy tale.
everybody's welcome
But you
here.
have to be pretty. You have to be pretty. And pretty means tiny.
And I like, and the thing too is like, and I look at this from a male's perspective too, right? I grew up, like, I moved in a gym. I went gym to gym to gym to gym, and there's all these attractive males, shirts off, sweat flying around. And I'm like, this is great.
Except
But
for
then
the
you meet them and you're like, you have no sustenance to you. Like, you are a
sweat.
beautiful creature.
You are a
You have
cardboard box.
yeah, you have no depth inside
Yeah.
of you. And it's like, it's funny because it's like when people meet me, they automatically assume like, oh, like he's your guy. I'm like, this is the kind of person you'd like. And it's like, you
That's
have
funny.
no idea. Like
Yeah.
I absolutely like I watch bodies change for a living.
Yeah.
And not even like it's a symptom, like it's a side effect of the
Yeah.
things I give them. I could give a fuck less about what your body looks like. Because I know it could change if you want it to change.
Yeah.
Like your body does not tell me about who you are
Mm.
and the person inside of you. It just
That's so
doesn't.
different
Like
from most coaches because they really go
I
in with the body transformation as the goal,
but that's the
which
thing
makes
is it's
sense. They're
like
speaking to their market, but
that's fine. If your ideal client is somebody who's like, I've got to look good and like I've just never and that's the thing too, is I feel like the aesthetics go with the material. Like super materialistic people go with the aesthetics, like has to be a
that's funny.
thing. And it's like I've just never been materialistic. Like I it doesn't matter. I could be a gazillionaire. My ass is still gonna go to Goodwill on, on Sunday morning and like see the trinkets that I can find and shit.
That's funny.
Like it's just not who I am. Like
Yeah.
and I think a lot of that comes from my upbringing. Like my family was always like we gathered around food. We gathered around drinking. Like not whatever. But like we gathered and we did the
Everyone
things
was
and like
drunk
we
while you
just
were a baby. You had vodka in your
shit
bottle.
plastered.
We're starting to eat
Um,
early.
right? But like we always gathered and it was like this is how we get to know each other and you don't really ask questions, right?
Mm.
Like if my grandmother cooks with sugar and butter and like I mean like Betty Crocker butter, like you know what I'm talking like it's just it's not the best food, but like you
Yeah.
don't ask, right? Like you don't ask.
You just eat it and
I'm
you're
from the
happy.
South, right? You just eat it. And I think like you could sit here and say like, oh, that's society telling you like you don't have control and you have to manners and this and that. But I also think it taught me that like sometimes you just gotta shut the fuck up and just like you just gotta enjoy like what's sitting in front of
Be
you. And like
happy.
sometimes it's
I think
not
that's
going to
actually
be
great life advice. Shut the fuck
like
up and enjoy
like
what's in front
like
of you.
right. Like sometimes you just
I
gotta
need that on a
stop
shirt.
pretending that you're better
Mm.
than what's being presented to
But
you.
gremlin
Like,
brain. We want to be better than everyone.
right. Like, and
Yourself.
I do like again, there's this like this ebb and this flow that I think a lot of people aren't willing to discuss.
Hmm.
Like people are like, oh, well, you're only in control of the things that you're in control of, and like your life is what you repeatedly do. And it's like,
true.
It is, but like also when shit happens and like this day is not the same as the rest, how the fuck do I get through this day?
By crying.
Like, and that's where it's like, you're not a fucking robot. Like a missed workout, like, and then you start to like pan out and it's like a missed workout, like your job that you hate, like in the grand scheme of things, like there's a trade-off and there's an ebb and a flow. And if you don't understand what that trade-off is, then you don't get to speak up about it. Like, I want the aesthetics, but I'm not willing to do the things to get there. Okay, then shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And I find something, I love that you're saying that, because something I find all the time is people just lie. They just lie to themselves, to me.
Well, I think what happens is a lot of people don't actually understand what it takes to get there.
And I think a lot of people
tell themselves that they can. And then when you present it, it's like, no, like I just, and I actually just had this conversation with someone. It's like, you're going to show up and do what you want every day. And if you don't want to go to the gym, you're not going to fucking go. Like, you're going to do the things you want to do.
Right.
And mental health and illness aside, I realize that sometimes there's things that we can't control.
Right.
And
discipline is a skill, and privilege, all these things. Yes.
But it's like, at the end of the day, if I want to get up and do the thing, I'm going to get up and do the thing. Yeah. And it's going to feel effortless because I want to be doing it.
I don't know that I agree with the last
understanding. Part. No?
I think it can feel effortful, and that's okay.
Effortful. No, yeah. I meant like effortless in the sense of like, I want to do it. So I'm just like, I take the first step. I take the first step. Yeah. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. I take the stance of like, I'll do it, but I'm going to complain the whole time. And it's like, it still gets done.
And that's fine, bro. You know, that's fine.
We still do it. We don't want to do that for everything because that sucks.
No.
But some days you're going to put your shoes on and be like, oh, fucking go.
I mean, I literally did that yesterday. Yeah. I was like, I don't want to go to the gym today. I got up, put my clothes on. I drove into the gym. I did one set of like upright rows and I was like, this ain't it. I just walked out. I was like, I'm not, today is not the day.
But you know what?
Today is not the day.
We want to honor, because that's the ebb and flow that you're talking about. Like, we want to honor it, and we want to be honest about what we're willing to do, what we even want. I think a lot of people say they want something, but they don't.
And that's my job.
It's not in alignment.
I feel like a lot of my job is helping people. It's not even the fitness part. I could program for people in my sleep. Like, it's not the fitness part. A lot of my job, and that's like the first line of my pitch, when people email me about, when their name comes up on my wait list, very first sentence is, my coaching is built on communication.
Yeah.
And that's it. If you're not communicating with me, I can't be your coach.
Yeah.
And that's just me. Right.
I feel like I need to communicate more. I don't know if I communicate enough.
And that's the thing. Like, people fall off and they're like, "Oh, I'm wasting her time." It's like, no. Like, let's figure out why you fell off. Like, let's figure out why you think your goal is aesthetics.
Yeah.
But like, you're not showing up for yourself. There is a misalignment there.
Yeah.
There's a misalignment, and you telling me, Allison, I just don't understand why I'm not consistent, but I want you to program for me 7 days a week.
Right.
Like, there's a misalignment there, right? Like, how about you give me 2 good days a week?
Yeah.
For 8 weeks, and then we'll talk about 3 days.
Yeah.
And that gray area is where a lot of people are like, oh, like, I can still do this and like not feel like a total failure. And it's like,
yeah. And so many people are all or nothing. And they say, oh, I have to do this 100%. Like, bro, please 80%. I tell people to half-ass most things in their life. I'm like, half-ass it so you can whole-ass the other things. Like,
I just talked about yesterday, like this B- work idea.
It was good.
I'm obsessed with it. I can't get past the thought of like, and it's not most people. Every single person I talk to says, I am either 0 or 100. I have there's not a single person in my life who has probably not said that to me. Mm-hmm. Like, I do this 0 or 100. And it's like, yeah, but what if you did it like 85?
Right. What if you were okay? Like it being okay. What if it was okay? And I always ask people, like, what's the worst thing that happens? Well, then I'll fail. So what?
I feel like it's
Right.
better. Yeah.
Are you
It's
gonna die?
better to like,
Nope.
but like what is failure though? Because in my
Right.
sense, like, I mean, I like, and I say this, and it's a lot easier for me to look at it from like the perspective of like a relationship,
Sure.
right? A relationship's end,
Mhm.
heart's broken, and it's like, okay, well, I can sit here and beat myself up for like not
Mhm.
feeling good enough, or like
Yeah.
not being the person this person felt like they needed,
Hmm.
or I can figure out where I went wrong
Yeah.
and how I can fix it. Like how I
Mhm.
can make sure that, because I am the common denominator in my life and in my relationships,
True. And in your
right? Like
failures and in your
I right.
successes.
So it's not like I'm accepting that I'm everything that went wrong, but
Yeah,
like
that's not
there is something that I can take from this
Mhm.
and like bring into the next thing. I don't believe things happen for a reason
Yeah.
unless
That's
you
funny.
find the reason.
Well,
You
humans are
have to
meaning
find the
makers.
reason. Yeah.
Right. We
Like
always decide on our own meaning.
you have to decide and find the reason why something happened. And if you
Mhm.
don't want it to happen again, then you have to find and decide how to make sure it doesn't happen again.
Right. Oh, self-agency. That is very empowering, but a lot of people struggle with
Oh
it.
gosh.
I was listening to Aaron Alexander. Do you listen to that podcast, The Align Method?
Mm-mm.
I will send you the one today because it was
Okay.
fabulous. And he was talking with a spiritualist. Spiritualist. And they were saying like so many people are terrified of taking accountability for themselves and they want a mommy or a daddy to give them all the
Yeah.
answers or a politician or a guru or a coach or therapist to give them all the answers. I actually had a client who told me I was so excited when I found you because now I have someone that I can ask questions and will give me all the answers. And I said, "Oh no,
No, honey.
no, thank you.
No.
That's not what we do.
Yeah,
I
no.
don't do that for you.
I
Never in
just
my
like
life."
hold up. I feel like a lot of time all I'm doing is holding up a mirror.
Mhm.
And then it's
Because
like,
people always
oh,
know. And I say, what they say, well, what do you think I should do? And I'm like, I don't fucking
like
know.
what do you think you should, right? Like,
I don't have to live with the consequences, so I'm not telling you shit. And two, what do you think? Well, I think I should do this. And I'm like, great, do it. And then they're like,
right. Like
oh,
there's your
Amanda, you're
answer.
so smart. I'm like, I haven't done anything. I just asked you what you wanted.
Done nothing. Yeah.
And they tell me, and I'm like, well, fuck it, try it. Like David yesterday was like, do you think I should try the Pomodoro method? It's like a focus method. You work for 20 minutes, take a 5-minute break. And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know, try it. And he was like, okay. And I was like, I'm so smart.
I'm the smartest.
I'm really good at
I
this.
think like it's so funny because I've been so good at doing that. And I think that like, and I mean like from a coaching
It's a
perspective, like
powerful skill.
that was the part that always came natural for me.
Mm,
Like the programming and the science and like all that stuff, I had to basically like be I went through my certification, and then like
yeah.
most of it was like self-taught. And that was harder than me being able to just be like,
I don't know. What do you think?
but right, like what do you think you should do? Like,
Yeah.
does this feel right? Like, does this not feel right? Well, if it doesn't
Yeah.
feel right, then like don't do it.
Right.
And it's I feel like people just need that validation and that self-assurance. And it's like it's almost like that value exchange comes from, I trust you enough
Mm-hmm.
to listen to what you have to say to me, and like I don't trust this other person who might be saying the exact same fucking thing.
Or themselves.
Right. Like I don't trust myself enough to
Mm-hmm.
question what's going on. Like
Yep.
the ability to look inward, I am learning, is not a
It's
highly
learned.
accomplished skill. Yeah. Like
No, it is a highly accomplished skill. Most people just don't know how to do
like
it. It is a high level skill. Most people really don't know how to do it.
or like even begin to know where to do it. Like
Ah, so
it's
for
funny
everyone
because
that
a
doesn't
lot of
know, I'm going to give you
here
the
we
answer.
go.
For everyone that doesn't know, I want you, people listening, to ask yourself throughout the day, how am I feeling? Hey, self, how am I feeling? The second question is, what do I need? Ta-da! That's it.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
whole
I mean, like
process.
mine's usually, yeah, like why am I feeling this way?
Yeah.
And
What do I need?
what was like the reoccurring steps to get to this point? Like what
Yours is
keeps
more in depth.
repeating?
Yeah.
Well, like I'm a patterns person, so it's like what keeps
Mm.
fucking like this thing keeps happening
Yeah.
over and over and over again. So like there's got to be something in
Yeah.
the forward here that like is also repeating. It is also repeating itself that I can catch on to before this thing happens.
I wake up every morning exhausted. Oh, maybe it's because you go to bed at midnight because you're scrolling.
Amazing. Yeah. Like, and it kills me too, because it's like, you know, we go back to like that consistency and the simple things. Like, why is complexity sexy? Like, nobody walks into a bar and goes, I want the most complicated woman
because
here.
we're dramatic
I
little
want
gremlins.
the most complicated man here. Like, no, like I would prefer to see and get what I'm looking at. You know, like,
what's funny? The only people that want that are people that are in alignment. The only people that want that, I worked with hundreds of people. The only people that want that are people who are in alignment and who have worked through their own shit. Everybody else, their little dramatic gremlin brain is like, I want a problem to solve and I want drama.
Chaos. Yeah.
I want drama.
Chaos. Yeah.
Because they're out of alignment. It is absolutely correlated to you being congruent and authentic. 100% correlated.
I think it's very hard. It's so hard to get to that point.
Oh yeah. It's a lifelong process. Like you don't really, you're just there.
You don't. Right. I was about to say, you don't, because there's still moments in my life where I'm creating the chaos because I'm more comfortable. I'm more comfortable in chaos than I am in like calm and nothing.
Oh yeah. I'll tell you something I'll do is I'll be like unloading the dishwasher. It's always fucking dishes. I hate dishes.
Same.
Like, David never loads the fucking dishwasher. He's a dick. He's like the world's nicest guy. Okay, he does my laundry and folds it for me. Like, nice. And I'm like, he never does the dishes. I should start a fight about this because I'm bored. And we just do it. We just do it. So it is a process to like be congruent, authentic, and happy, and not
difficult.
Even to gremlin brain. Oh yeah. It's simple, but none of these things are easy.
Yeah. But I like, and I know that you went, like you were talking about like my message and like how I keep it from going into the sex scene. It's like, it's so easy to talk about what to take out of and how to restrict yourselves, because that's all we ever talk about. Like, how do I make my life harder?
Yeah. How do you make it like less?
Right. And it's like, well, if you feel like you're off, right, there's 4 things you can consistently go back to that no matter what you're doing are going to work.
What are those?
And like, this is not, I mean, well, it's not even something I invented, right? It's just like common sense. Like, if I'm not drinking enough water, I'm dehydrated. My mood's
vodka.
My mood's going to vodka in a bottle. My mood's going to be altered.
People really think it's vodka because they drink it out of a mason jar most of the time, and they're like, "What is that?" And I'm like,
"Moonshine, little moonshine." And then it's sleep, like this whole idea of like this badge of exhaustion.
I hate it.
Like, I have always been a human that like I'm in bed for like 12 hours, like, and I've always been this way. Like,
my family makes fun of me for napping.
Asleep. I wish I could nap. I can't nap.
I take 3-hour naps, which is why my family makes fun of me. But I don't care.
But like, I'm like 9 to 12 hours of sleep, and I've always been that way.
Love
it. Oh, don't fuck with my sleep, man. Because if I'm like, I have become aware that if I don't get sleep, I am moody.
Right. Do you want me to kill you?
Right. So
I will poison your oatmeal.
You know, Allison, I'm not feeling too good. Like, I'm off. My schedule's not right. Okay, well, you're getting 3 hours of sleep a night. So like, low hanging fruit here.
Yeah.
Turn the phone off. Keep it out of your bedroom. Like,
but we might miss something so much harder on Instagram.
That's so much harder to do than go, hey, take this supplement.
Right. And it won't even work. You can take all the supplements, and people always want to start at the top of the period. They'll be like, I'm going to take magnesium. And it's like, bitch, you sleep 3 hours a night. What's the magnesium going to do?
And that's the thing where it's like one-on-one can come into play, right? So like, I have shift workers who are only getting 3 hours of sleep. And it's like, all right, well, how do we make it a really damn good 3 hours of sleep? Like, it's like, all right, now we start looking at the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But like, when you're talking to the mass, like, and you're talking to a group of people, the thing that applies to everyone is sleep, water, quality of food, and like recovery, like from not even just like training, but like life, like stress management.
Rest more.
I should say stress management instead of recovery. Yeah. Like people feel like, and I've recently been getting into this a lot because now it's getting colder, so people are inside for a little bit longer during the day, and they're finding that they have more energy, so they want to be in the gym for longer. And I'm like, no, you have more energy, just sit with it. Like, you don't have to expend the energy that makes you feel good.
Or put it into something else, like creative or a hobby or.
But what I'm getting at is like, it's okay to just sit with feeling good. You don't have to do something with it, right? Like how frequently do you wake up in the morning and you're just like, God damn, it's gonna be a fucking great day. Like,
you're gonna hate this answer because I'm an outlier.
I know you probably do it all the time.
Like probably 85% of the time. Like I wake up every David hates it. I did it this morning. I said, because Madge sleeps on the bed, my dog, and I said, Maggie, we have goals to crush. And he was like, but that's like me every morning. So that's
right.
I'm the
well, for a lot of us, we don't have the same kind of response, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
right. I understand I'm an outlier for that.
Right. So it's like just sitting and feeling good is not a common thing that we feel.
It's uncomfortable for lots of people because here's a real interesting thing. If people cut themselves off from the unpleasant emotions, they actually cut themselves off from all of them. You cannot only feel happiness. You cannot only feel good. So a lot of people, because they won't allow themselves to sit in the shit in the swamp and process it, cannot be happy because they just shut the door on everything. But teaching, ooh, that's really interesting that you say that. That's not something that I thought about, but it is fascinating.
And it's, and you know, there does come a time and a place where it's like, okay, so I've got this like kind of built up energy of feeling good. What can I do with it now?
Yeah. Burpees.
But like, here's some more fitness. It's just so funny that like there are coaches out there that focus on the science and the fitness and the programming and like X equals, you know, this is, you want
without
5,
forgetting
3, 1, you want
1,000 variables.
And I am right. And mine's like 90% human. Like my coaching is very much 99% human, like 1% fitness. Like I can't tell you how many, like oftentimes in my profession, coaches more frequently than not pride themselves on having 3 to 5 year clients. The thing in doing this for the last 2 years is that I've noticed that I tend to give people almost this permission because they think they have to be in the gym. And I've had more than one client literally quit their corporate job, not because I wasn't like convincing them or anything, like just through discussion. And they've gone into nature and found a job in nature. And they're like, "Oh, I'm not near a gym." So like, I'm like, you know, we can do body weight shit. And they're like, you know what? Like, I'm just gonna do me for a little while. And I've done that more times than not. Yeah. Like, and it's like, when you start to understand that the things that you constantly allow yourself to show up for are the same things that are affecting you, you have control to just not show up to the thing that hurts.
Can you repeat that?
You're like, by walking into something and knowing I hate this every single day, it's like, well, no fucking wonder why you feel like shit every single day. Like, you know, like there's a trade-off here.
Yeah. And you have permission to stop going.
You have permission to stop going.
Yeah.
And I tell people a lot of the time that like have a family, like I can't just walk away from my job. And it's like, it's fine. You need to understand that your job is where you make money. That is your trade-off. You don't have to do a career that is fulfilling. That's not like, that is the American dream of like, this is my hobby and my career.
That's
and my
the
passion.
American lie. Yeah.
Right. But it's like, sometimes your job is just what makes you money.
Right.
And then you find the thing that sets your soul on fire. And then you do the things that help you be a responsible adult in society. Like, and they don't all have to be the same thing.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with biding time. I have people all the time who are like, I want to quit, but I can't yet. Or I want to leave this relationship, but I can't because I'm financially dependent, or I won't have a place to live, or whatever. And I say, okay, let's just work towards that. Bide your
But
time.
again, going back to like, why am I doing this? Why do I feel this way? It's like, I'm getting like hyped up now. Like, understanding why you're doing the thing.
Mm-hmm. Why are you staying?
Helps prevent you from going, I feel like shit, so just fuck everything.
Yeah.
No, it's like you feel like shit because
It's consent.
the relationship that you're in is shit. And then when you understand why, it makes it a lot easier to continue to do the things that keep you moving forward.
Yeah.
Instead of just like falling off totally and then going, well, why does all this always happen to me? I used to be that person. I mean, like my life, like behind the scenes, never stops. I like scratched my head and now my head is like raging red.
Well, a little. We got excited.
I did. But like my life, like honestly, if I was on a sitcom, like the last 30 years would just be like nonstop. And I used to be that person. Why does this always happen to me? Like, why is this always in my area, in my vicinity? And it wasn't until I just realized that, like, because I am a total empath, I feel what everybody else around me is feeling, because I like to think of myself like I really just wish I was that guy from Green Mile that just sucked all the demons out of people, and like I would hold on to them for everyone.
No, that's just
like
bad.
I would do that.
Do that.
It's terrible boundaries. I know. But that's what I'm saying is like when I realized that like I can help you without taking your shit on personally. It was like, this stuff is not happening to me, it's happening around me.
Yes,
like,
yes. And it's so much more empowering too to say like, no, you have to deal with that. I'm just going to teach you how. Like
I can give you the tools, but you have to build the house. Like I can't do it for you. And I also can't wait for someone to understand that like you have to do the action. Like I can't do it for you. I can't lay it all out for you over and over and over again, you know, because I have my own life that I'm trying to do that for.
Right.
So when you change that perspective of a boundary is keeping them out, right? Which is how I thought about it. I want them to stay away.
Keeping you out and
but
them
for
out
me,
and you in.
Right. But for me, it's about keeping me in. It's got nothing to do, like, I want you to get as close to this wall as possible, but like I can't do this for the sake of me.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's a lot. And we go back to like that people pleasing and like me, myself, and I, and it's like, this is how I can understand it better. Just by like flipping that perspective of like, I don't want you away from me. I want you as close as possible. But like, if I get any closer to this, I'm going to shut down and then I can't function.
And in order to do that, like we have rules. Like we have expectations, we have standards. We need people to act a certain way in order to be allowed to spend time or exchange energy with us. And a lot of people please us feel bad about that. That's a much longer conversation. But I love everything that you're saying. I love everything you're saying. And I don't want to take.
But I think, no, you're fine. But I think as you get older,
continue to party.
You know, as you get older, you start to like I give less fucks about what other people think.
You have to.
Well, you realize that like when you're like, and I don't think it comes with getting older. I think it comes with like the things that come with life that you don't have to deal with when you're younger. Like I'm paying bills and I'm paying rent and I'm providing for myself. And if I'm providing for myself and my dogs, Luke's backyard, like I just don't give up. Like you don't help me do this thing.
Right. I don't have room for you.
So like if you're not helping me provide and, you know, give myself this thing in life, then like your opinion is not, like, it's nothing.
No. I said to
younger,
right. Yeah, you also don't have all these things at stake.
No, it's just like, what is everybody else thinking about me? And like, that's the only thought process you have. And that's it. Because there's nothing else going on in your life that you have to like actually worry about.
Yeah. Yeah. I was saying, who was I talking to? I don't know. It was a client. And we were talking about people in their past and how they met a need at one point, but it wouldn't really meet a need now, and it may be potentially problematic. And I said, not everyone that will fit into your past will fit into your future, but so we have to be very disciplined about what you say you want and what you're willing to do to ensure that it happens. Even if those people feel bad, even if they're disappointed, even if the relationship dynamic changes. Like you, in order to get what you want, I tell people this all the time, in order to get what you want, it's going to cost you the life that you have now. It better, because you want a new life. You can't build a new house and live in your old house the whole time and be like, well, I built this whole new house, but I'm never going to live in it. You got to give up your old house.
Yeah.
Or at least portions of it. Maybe not the furniture, maybe not the rug that you love, but you got to give up your old house in order to build a new house. And that sucks, right? Setting boundaries is hard. That's why I say all the time, like, let people die mad about it. And they're like, oh, what if they're mad at me? And I'm like, well, they can die mad. I hope someone is like, Amanda did this thing on their fucking tombstone. This one time, Amanda told me no. Like, if they're not mad enough to put it on their tombstone, they'll be fine.
I'm fine. Yeah.
They'll be fine.
Think too,
let them die mad.
I think too, like a lot of people think that we spend a lot of time, like a lot of people spend a lot of time thinking about other people.
Oh my God.
And they just don't.
Gremlin
they just
brain.
don't. People are so consumed with their own selves.
Right.
Like people think that when I walk into the gym, people are just staring at me and like, I don't like it. It's like, no,
no one cares.
Literally everyone in the gym thinks that. Everyone thinks that everyone is staring at them.
Right.
Everyone. Like no one is actually looking at you. If they do, it's because they want to see if you're looking at them.
It's true. That's gremlin brain. What's everyone else doing? How do I measure up?
And it's like when you start to accept the fact that like no one
cares about you. Right.
No one
cares.
Like no one. Like genuinely, like the amount of thought that you might think about your ex or like the past relationship, whatever, like you might think about them one time a day. Like let's just say like one time a day, but like in the grand scheme of things, maybe that's like 60 minutes a year.
Right. Maybe not even that much. Right.
Right? Like
we're like, everyone's obsessed with us.
Right. Like,
such a gremlin brain thing to do.
Like, are your problems that small that you really think?
I always tell people they're so egotistical. I'm like, it's not about you. No one cares. And they're like, what? And I'm like, no.
Very hard. And then it's like, I don't think everything's about me. And it's like, you've said me the last six sentences. So.
Are you sure? Are you sure? And it's a funny thing because all my clients really, this is going to sound really harsh and I'll explain. All my clients think I really like give a lot of shits about what happens to them. And I'm like, I do because my biggest priority is that they are happy, they are healthy, and they are living the fucking life that they want, free of suffering for as long as you can. Not free of pain, but free of suffering. But I tell them all, like, as soon as you pull out of my driveway, I don't give a damn what you do with your life. Like, my life is good. It's not my problem if you're like, hey, Amanda, I use cocaine a lot and it causes all these problems. And I'm like, well, maybe we should talk about not using cocaine as much. And you're like, nah, I'm going to go use cocaine tonight. Like, fuck off. That's your choice. Like, and those consequences are yours. Like, I don't care what you do outside of this session. I hope that you live your life and you're happy and you're proud of it and you're in alignment and you tell people to fuck off and die mad and do what's right for you. But if you don't do those things, those consequences are your own.
There's a trade-off.
There's a trade. You can not do those things. You can people please and you can lie and you can self-sacrifice and you can be a martyr, but you'll hate your life.
Yeah.
You won't have a life because you build a prison.
And a lot of people don't know they're actually living in prison.
Which is honestly so sad.
It's terrifying.
But this is why we do things like podcasting.
So terrifying.
We're in a prison. Come talk to us. It's sad. It makes me sad for them. But I'm like, oh, you don't have to suffer so much. Like, it can be easier. And they're like,
and the thing, it can be. It can be by not. Right. It can be by not overcomplicating it.
Right. Everything is simple.
There is, what is it?
Core.
It's like, it's always, there was a saying that like, always give the lazy person the most complicated problem. Because they'll find the simplest solution to it.
I'll tell you an example of that. So we have to put in fence posts because, farm. Mm-hmm. And oh my God, it's a nightmare. So there we have this like green metal fence poster kind of thing. You have it's like a tube with a cap at one end, and you have to hammer these things in, and they suck because we also live in clay, which is hard and it's rocky and it's anyway, it's hard. I don't want to do it ever because it sucks.
Right.
And we have a tractor because farm. So I put the bucket of the tractor on top of the thing, and I was like, Dad. So my dad was hammering it in. And I was like, oh my God, F this. I would rather take a nap. I want to be sleeping. So I got the tractor, and he's like, what are you doing with the tractor? And I was like, we're about to party. And so I had him like hold it, and I put the tractor bucket on top of it. And I was like, okay, now don't let me hit your head with the tractor because it has no sense of pain. Like it's a machine. And I pushed it in, and he laughed his ass off. And he said, you are so lazy. And I said, I literally just saved you 5 hours. Like, I don't want to hear shit because I just saved your entire afternoon.
Yes.
You're welcome. Not that he said thank you, but I was like, you're welcome. I don't care. I know that you're
welcome for this. Yes.
And he just laughed and laughed. And I was like, oh no, lazy people, so efficient, because I would literally rather be sleeping.
It is. Like, I think again, we come from a place where it's like work hard, grind, hustle, this.
I hate
and it's like you're sitting here telling me that if you could work a 15-hour work week, make the same amount of money, you wouldn't do it. Like
no, because they glorify the hustle.
Right. Like lack of sleep, and I feel like shit all the time, and I'm on, all these medications, and like, but
I take magnesium though.
I'm hustling real hard and like getting things done
on a treadmill. Like, get out of here.
It's just not necessary.
Yeah.
Sometimes. A lot of the time.
How do people find you? A lot of the times. That's true. Sometimes it is.
Oh, how do people find me?
How do people find you? If they're like, holy shit, Allison, I want to hang out with you. I want to pay you to talk to me. How do people find you? Your newsletter banging, by the way.
You love that? I'm trying to get, the email marketing thing just killed me. Like it's
Graham Cochran is great for that. I'll send you his podcast. He's wonderful for it.
I'm like trying so hard to like, all right, well, I've been on Instagram, for like 10 years now. It's just Allison McKail.
Spell it for us, please.
Allison, Allison, McKail, McKail. And then my website's AllisonMcKail.com. Pretty straightforward over here. But yeah, like I've only been on Instagram. I'm trying to expand out, which is where this email marketing thing is coming from. Because I'm pretty sure Facebook and Instagram are combine, and like this whole new internet's coming, and I'm too old. I'm too old for this.
God, the
metaverse.
Which they straight up stole from people. And I'm like, you fucking would, Facebook. You dick.
So, we're living our best life over here right now. So I am trying to very much.
And you just launched a new thing. So before people could only work with you one-on-one. Yeah. Oh no, I was like screaming in my head about it. I was like, fucking.
I really felt like for a while, like you were my coach, and I was just like riding. I was just along. I was like, this woman has my back, and I love this.
I exist to be a hype woman.
Literally, that's what you were. Like, I would probably just pay you to follow me around and just like, it's gonna be a good day, like all day, like just around.
Is my dream job, so don't threaten me with a good time. I'm coming to do it. Can you imagine if you were just like, you woke up and I was there like, Allison, today's gonna be a really great day. We have goals to crush. And you would be like, I'm going to slit your throat. And I'm just like, we have dreams to chase, bitch. Get up, get the fuck up. You look fabulous, by the way. I love to watch you sleep. It's just a masterpiece. That art degree made you art, boo. You a masterpiece. Fuck the Mona Lisa.
Fuck her. We need the Allison.
We need the Mona Allison.
No, yeah, I just launched my group program called Beach Bum Fitness.
Love it. So cool.
When I started it, I never thought I would ever do a group program. Like ever.
How many people joined?
Quite a handful. Like, I'll be honest. I hate that thing, because then people immediately start doing the math, and it's like, that's not the point.
That's what I want to know.
Right. Like, that's not the point.
Enough.
Enough join. Um, but the thing was like, I wanted to just like dip my toe in it because my one-on-one wait list had gotten out of hand. Like, and I
Yeah.
mean out of hand, like like I was dumbfounded at how many people signed up to work with me one-on-one.
So what happens when
And
you're in alignment? Like,
and
let's
being
go.
like being the person I am, the moment you ask me for help, like I need to figure out a way to help you. Like I need to figure out a way to help you.
Yeah.
And I knew that like doing this, I wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel. I was not trying to like create some new newfound
Yeah.
thing that like had never been heard of. Like all of the science I know was learned by way smarter people than I could ever find myself in a room in
Yeah.
with. So like I just took these basic principles and I put them in a program that I knew that if you were doing it, it was meant to help you progress
Mm-hmm.
in a way that would last for a year. And
Yeah.
if you wanted to do it again, you could, because it
Awesome.
literally just rinses and repeats. And the way that it's set up is movements can be interchanged with one another. So depending on what you do year one,
Mm-hmm.
it could totally be different year two because I give you options.
That's cool.
It's based on balancing movement patterns and then progressing in like your bigger main lifts.
Hmm.
So, for example,
Neat.
like if you're not super comfortable lifting a barbell, that's fine. You can use a dumbbell, you can use a
Mhm.
kettlebell. Like this is not
So it's
it's that
flexible.
yes, it's very flexible. It's the sense that like it's okay if it's not going to be perfect. It's not meant to be perfect.
Yeah.
It's meant to give you something to start now
Yeah.
so that you aren't waiting to get
Mhm.
onto something that is like a
It's gonna
6 week
take a long
challenge.
time. Yeah.
But and that's the thing, like it's not God, I could go on forever with it. Like there's so many programs out there. Like and I have talked to so many of the big names that have group programs and they are rinse and repeating the same 6 weeks over and over and
Mhm.
over again. And there's a way to build out a plan that lasts for a year that progresses.
Yeah.
When you get on a lower cost membership, what tends to happen is it's more about what's going on in this 6 weeks, what's going
Yeah.
on in this 6 weeks. And then like there's like what happened last 6 weeks and what's happening this 6 weeks. And that's as far in the future as they look.
Mm-hmm. Versus
I
like
wanted to
12
build,
months.
yes,
Yeah.
sustainable fitness. Like
And
if you're
it's not
progressing,
expensive what it's priced at.
it's $97 a month.
Right. Which is absolutely insane. Which is insane. That's
I
such an insane value.
Yeah, I think like to me, like there has to be, and again, the longer I do this, the more I realize it, that there is an absolute exchange of value.
Mm-hmm.
And that value, unfortunately, for a lot of us is money, right? Like a lot of people don't actually understand that by committing to something, I could just do this and be committed to it. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've got if instead it's like, well, I'm not going to miss this because I'm paying this much money.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm going to do the fitness because I'm
Yeah.
paying this much money,
Yeah.
right? But if I could just give people fitness for free, like
But you know what you
flip it to the
do?
masses,
Your Instagram
like,
has so much
and
information.
I do like, and that's where it's like there's these
Yeah.
tiers of like, all right, like here, like you can do what I did, which is take all the free information that you possibly can, put it together, figure it out from all these
Yeah.
people,
Takes forever.
and then you start to kind of and then you start to like piece
Yeah.
this shit like DIY, like
Yeah.
literally. You can get on this plan with a little bit more like with a shit ton of structure, to be
Yeah.
honest. Or it's like, and you can sit on this plan until, I give you that email where it's like, hey, like you're off my wait list and we can work one-on-one
Yeah.
together. But I never saw it going as well as it has.
Oh, I love that.
Like that was like
I
I was waiting and trying to get everything perfect and right and like business and like this and that.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I just don't fucking launch this program now,
Launch
it's
it.
never gonna happen. It's never gonna
And
happen.
honestly, like it's such a good way to manage your own energy and impact. Like it's so scalable, which I think a lot of people don't understand why businesses have tiered products. It's because you can help more people at that price point because it may be affordable for more people, or maybe they're not willing to pay you the one-on-one price. Like, okay, dope, but you can still get really good results and your impact grows. So I love it. I love it for you.
Yeah.
So fuck yeah.
I always go back to like, I never thought I would be launching a group because I didn't want to fall into that category of this is fitness. And like everybody who's a fitness influencer has a group program. But like, I think well, yeah, it is scalable, and that's a huge,
it can work.
It's a huge component of it. And I see the power behind in my voice and in my message of giving people the basics and like understanding that like by just doing the minimal, you can still find success.
Yes.
Like it doesn't have to be over the top. It doesn't have to be 3 hours in the gym. Like,
oh my God,
do this, come out, be done. Like fitness does not have to be your life for it to be in your life.
Yeah.
And I think like, and when Beach Bum Fitness came out, like the whole thing that I was starting to get behind was like, I had found this hobby of paddleboarding. Was it active? Yes. But like, is that why I was doing it? No. Like I honestly did it because it was the best way for me to get a tan without laying on the beach for 12 hours. Like, that's why I started. You know? So it was like, this hobby I found gave me a reason to do something outside of fitness. But like by working out 4 days a week, I now had a 5th day to do something that had no responsibility attached to it. Like I just do this thing because I want to do it.
Which is lovely. To just do things because you enjoy them is so healing.
And I think that that's like, I mean, that's a huge component of what Beach Bum Fitness is. Like I didn't even make up the name. Like a lot of people are like, oh, like this was I was like, no, like my followers literally saw me doing fitness in the park barefoot. And they were like, Beach Bum Fitness. And I was like, we're using this. This is great. No, this is good. So again, it's just been like, it's been just
so
like
organic.
Like I'm such a purist. If it feels forced, like it's never gonna happen. Like everything up to this point has happened because I'm listening.
And it's the path of least resistance, which honestly often means it's the right path. So if people have amnesia for the last hour and a half, by the way, you were so nervous and look at you thriving.
Oh my God, oh my God, it has been an hour and a half.
Yeah. That's why I keep saying, like, I don't want to take your whole day. And you're like,
oh, wow,
we're partying now. I need a party again.
Like 45 minutes.
No, this is fabulous. Time flies when you're as great as we are. If people have amnesia and they're like, I don't remember anything you just said, what do you want them to remember?
Oh my gosh.
Or to leave with?
Go to bed at the same time every night and wake up at the same time every morning.
All right.
Start there. Like genuinely start there.
Legit.
Like, and people are like, oh, that's stupid. You know, like there's no way. And it's like, just try it.
Try it.
Try it and see how different. See how different your mood is the next day. Like after a few weeks of doing that.
Word. And if they want to find you, work with you, Allison McKail at Instagram and AllisonMcKail.com.
That's it. Yep.
And up for your newsletter. It's quality. I enjoy it.
I've really started to kind of like just I started very like professional in my emails. Like
God, isn't that horrible?
I thought I needed to, and I'm like
so exhausting.
No, fuck it. Like don't sign up if you're not into like super sarcastic, like bluntly speaking.
Right.
Like
this is
no
not
bullshit.
For you.
This is not for you.
Yeah. Yep.
This is not for you.
Not for you, boo.
My non-bullshit message board in there.
Love it. Dude, thank you so much. This was
you're very welcome.
Lovely.
You're very welcome.
Okay, friends, go to bed. Go to bed at the same time every night.
Go to bed.
Tell them Allison said so. I'll be like, who? And be like, she's my coach on Instagram.
I'm everybody's coach. I'm the people's coach.
Like Dwayne Johnson, but smaller and cuter.
But still just as loud.
And we'll also give you the people's elbow or whatever he calls this thing.
Because I am the people's coach.
And you deserve it. We give the people what they want. Oh my God, I
If
love
we give
it.
the people what they want but didn't know they needed.
Right, which is the people's elbow,
Yes.
which is an elbow to their rib cage while
Yes.
they're on the ground. We're gonna
Mhm.
restart your heart. It's fine.
It's fine. You'll be
Fine.
fine.
It's fine.
You
Okay.
don't know
Bye,
until you try.
friends. You don't know what to try. That's extra. That's what you get in the one-on-one coaching. Extra people's elbow. Oh my God. You're fabulous. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Okay. Bye, y'all.
Bye.